So what's the starting point? I've asked you this before. The starting point, now we've heard all this, is someone has to make a decision. Are they going to try and sort this out on their own? If you try and sort it out on your own, that's a tall order, but it's maybe possible. You kind of did it.
Yeah.
Or you have to find someone near where they live, or someone that they can work with who can try and treat their case as an individual case, a special case, and see if they can find through this information, all the analysis you talked about, the different subtypes and the things that will perpetuate the disease, what's caused it in the first place, to see if they can find a clear way of moving forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually think it's both. There needs to be personal responsibility that's there. So when we treat people, it's not that they give all responsibility to us and it's our job to fix it. I think people always have to be their own kind of practitioner to a point, but what they also want to do is to work with people which are experts, not just a local nutritionist who's seen 2 or 3 people in a lifetime. There are clinics like ours, and we treat on average about 60 people a week with ME. There's a lot more, obviously, knowledge that comes from that. One of the other real benefits of, it's a benefit of what is also the problem with modern society, things like the internet and the developments in those kinds of things, that we have patients all over the world because we can work with them using local laboratories to where they are, and by doing things by telephone. There's a heck of a lot more information available now than there was before. And I think it's really important that people understand that ME can feel incredibly isolating, and it can feel like it's never possible to get better or to change it. And there are many, many people that have had ME and got better. It's different for everyone, and it requires people to find their own path through it. And there are also many inspirational stories of people which have had ME and got better, and it's really helpful for people to have access to those kinds of stories. Our philosophy as a clinic is, again, like other people out there, is to provide as much information for people that's freely available to help them find out if it's going to be a fruitful way of them working on their own situation. Information is really key for people to understand.
So if you were to just summarise, what are the main precursors for getting ME, chronic fatigue? What are the main causes as you see them? From
our model of it, and as I say, everyone has, different clinics have different perceptions, but our model is, it's effectively a process of burnout. So anything which causes the system to ongoingly not be able to handle the demands placed upon it is a factor in causing ME. So it can be psychological traits, it can be physical traits, it can be environmental things, it can be lifestyle things. Any of these things together. In fact, just briefly, a very useful analogy is to think about a boat with different loads on it. And when you get to the point you have too many loads for the boat to be able to handle it, and it starts to sink, that's really what's often going on with ME and chronic fatigue. Then you have a whole new load on this boat, which is the stress of being ill. So that's a kind of a useful way of looking at it. It's just too many things that are going on together.
And the way society is going is the boat's going to get more and more loaded up, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, without getting too kind of political here, one way of looking at it is the economy, the environment, are getting their version of ME. They've been out of balance for so long that the demands placed upon them, it's not sustainable. There has to be a readjustment. And that's one way of also looking at it, that it's a readjustment period. And ME used in the right way can actually be life-changing in a very positive way. That people actually make changes, actually make their life a lot richer. It doesn't feel like that at the time, I know, but it absolutely can also be that way.
But isn't the planet getting ME as well? And this is not a joke.
Absolutely, no, absolutely.
Have finite resources.
That's what I mean by the environment.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
at every level, the banking system's got ME.
Absolutely.
The environment's got ME.
Absolutely. And you said it yourself earlier. The question is, how quickly do we listen to that?
Yeah.
So
it's really very much a question of listening to the messages outside, listening to the messages inside, putting it all together, and living a life that's this word that we all use these days, a sustainable life.
Right. Which is not always easy when there's all these different demands that are on us. But if we're able to find a way to do that, then ultimately a life recovered from ME is often in my experience, people that recover, is a happier life than life prior to ME.
So you see the ME situation that you were in now was very difficult at the time. You see it as a positive experience now. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone on since my recovery to develop the clinic, and that's been personally incredibly rewarding to be able to help other people in a similar situation, but also in terms of a certain amount of self-insight and ability to kind of listen to myself and enjoy my own process through life. You know, I didn't have a particularly easy childhood in some ways, and I was conditioned to approach life in certain ways. And it's not really in life until we're forced to really look at that we actually make changes around that. And, you know, with people that we've treated as a clinic, it's often extraordinary the changes that come out on the other side that people discover after being ill for, 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 25 years sometimes. The things that seemed important before often don't seem so important afterwards. And often there are dreams or things people want to do in life that they never quite get around to doing. And ME really forces us to look at that. What do we really value in our lives?
So it changes your perspective in a way, or encourages you to change your perspective.
Absolutely. And if people recover without making those deeper changes, often what can happen is there's a need for that wake-up call to take them back to living life in a more balanced way.
So they can recover and they can crash again in 2 years'
if
time.
If the underlying lessons and things aren't changed, sure.
Yeah. It's a deep process, isn't it?
Yeah. Also, another way of looking at it is that I think we spend a lot of time in life wanting things to be different to how they are. And there's something about something like ME where if someone can learn to accept the path and the process that they're on. We were doing a workshop recently for ME patients. People were saying, I just want to get back to full-time work. And I remember saying to them, full-time work is overrated sometimes. I obviously don't miss having ME, but there was something about having that time to really understand myself and to have that process and that journey, that if people can be more kind of in accepting and embracing of where they are, then that's also a very important life lesson. We're always so focused on the destination of where we want to go and think we should be, that if there's a place of finding happiness and joy on the journey of recovery, it's a very valuable lesson to have when we're recovered, because the challenges in life don't end when someone recovers from ME.
No, I understand. It's ongoing.
Those lessons can be really valuable life lessons.
Okay, we have to wind up now, Alex. I'd just like to thank you very much for coming along. To remind our viewers that Alex has written a book about his story, how he recovered from ME, why me, and he also has this report that's available from his clinic, and the website address will be in the programme, ME in the 20th Century. And I like the subtitle, You Are No Longer a Mystery. That's a good point to end on. Thank you for watching Conscious TV. Goodbye.